They're reporting from Mombasa, but shortly he's going to be heading to Kilifi County, where the president is going to be taking his campaigns and is going to be holding a rally in Kaloleni. Chris will be bringing us up to speed with that. But moving on back to our top story this morning, and of course it has everything to do with Parliament. Today, members of Parliament are returning from a recess, and they will be resuming their sittings today after that short break. And of course, Jubilee Party really is expected to bulldoze through the amendments to the electoral laws. I now want to bring in my colleague Patrick Amimo. Patrick, just give us a breakdown really of what to expect today and of course tomorrow, even as we are waiting to see what's going to go down on the floor of the House with regard to this controversial bill.
Thank you. The Select Parliamentary Committee on these electoral laws has been on the ground trying to get public views on these particular elections. And we saw last week it had 3 sittings where members of the public were invited to come on board and give their views with regard to the changes they intend to make on these particular laws. We saw even institutions appear before the committee, and for the last 2 days they've been on a retreat to write the report, which they will be tabling to both houses this afternoon when lawmakers resume after their 11 days break. And we expect after that then these particular bills, the Election Laws Amendments Bill 2017 and the Election Law Offences Amendment Bill 2017, they will be also be tabled in for the second reading in both the National Assembly and the Senate, where members will be able now to debate on those particular provisions. And I think according to the plan, it is that by tomorrow then the bill should have gone through the third reading and also, if possible, passed by the lawmakers before Thursday, when they're expected to go for another break of 25 days until November 6th, when they will resume sittings for 1 month. That leads to the December break, and which also will signal the end of this particular session. These particular laws, we know very well that they've attracted equal measure of controversy, and also there are those who are in support of these particular laws, especially from the Jubilee side, but there are those who are opposed to these particular laws from the opposition. Now we've seen even members of NASA say that they did boycott these particular sittings, they're claiming that the committee was not constituted legally, and also they said that these particular amendments had some mischief, and Jubilee side was not really, it was not part of the provision that the Supreme Court of Kenya had ruled. That's why they kept it, they gave it a wide berth, and they've not participated in these particular amendments or given their opinion on these particular laws, as it were. But instead they've been pushing to have at least reforms, minimum reforms at the IEBC before they can participate in the October 26th election. But all said, we saw before the committee, IEBC appeared before it and said that there are some amendments that are touching on the composition of IEBC with regard to who constitutes a quorum. And according to the amendments, 3 members can constitute a quorum, and there was IEBC opinion was that it should remain at its current quorum of 5. We also had some amendments touching on the qualification of the chairperson, where the committee was of the view that anybody can hold that particular position. But now IEBC, when they appeared before the committee, they did indicate that that provision of the chairperson to be a person who is qualified to hold the office of the judge of the Supreme Court of Kenya must remain, because even when you look at the way the recruitment was done, the positions of the chairperson was done differently from that of members, because members are from any other disciplines, but for the chairperson it's very, very strict. The IEBC Act says that it should be a person of same qualifications as a judge of the Supreme Court of Kenya. That's why their interviews are done separately. But then the provision that, okay, in case of the absence of a chairperson, then we can have maybe a vice chair on board. That was also IEBC's idea that, okay, that can be accommodated on those provisions, on that particular amendments. There is also the contentious aspect of electronic vis-a-vis manual transmission of results. In the amendments, the manual transmission of results is being given prominence compared to electronic transmission, where they indicated that in case of failure to transmit electronically, then the manual transmission should take precedence. And this particular provision has been also criticized by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. We've also seen the European Union monitors, also observers come out against this particular provision of going for the manual way because they feel it's a clawback against those particular provisions because electronic system was meant to ensure that there is clarity, there is transparency, and there is accountability. And they're arguing that through electronic system, you can be able to track. There are those footprints on those particular elections. It's possible to track in case of any manipulation that was done on the data and all those documents. That's why they of the view that the Supreme Court of Kenya was able to annul that particular election after it discovered massive irregularities and illegalities that were committed in at least 80 constituencies, which was affecting about 5 million votes. And they say that this particular vote then could not be, they could not say that the election was valid. So those are some of the provisions that have been put on board, but we'll be waiting to see how the lawmakers will go about it, because the opposition now, when it comes to the House for the second reading, members of the House will be given an opportunity to debate and ventilate on those particular views. But given that Jubilee, it appears, it's ready to flex its muscles, its numerical strength in both houses and pass these particular laws, regardless of whether the opposition is for it or not. But then the opposition has warned that should these particular laws be passed by Jubilee side using their numerical strength, then they might fall back to the courts and seek the opinion of the court on how these particular laws were deliberated and also passed in the House. Because according to them also, there is the provision, that particular provision, the publication period was reduced from 14 days to 1 day, which according to the Jubilee side, they said that they wanted members of the public to access these particular laws on time. But again, after that, once the bill is tabled in the House for first reading, the law says that members of the public should be given 90 days to deliberate on those particular provisions, the changes that are intended to. But in this particular case, we saw only 3 days, and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights was of the opinion that 3 days were not adequate, and this committee did not go the width and breadth of the country to get public views that could inform this particular amendment. So maybe that 90-day provision between the first reading and second reading of the bill, as is required for public participation, was disregarded in this particular law, and that's why people have been saying why the rush. So there is that suspicion over these particular laws, but we'll see how it will go out on the floor of the House when legislators resume sittings this afternoon. Betty.
Okay, Patrick Mimo there reporting from our City Centre studio, bringing us up to speed with really what to expect today. Like he rightfully mentioned, we're expecting that report by the ad hoc committee led by William Cheptumo to present their report later on today at 2:30 p.m. In the floor of the House, and from there we'll have to see, of course, if there's going to be a debate really, or Jubilee will be able to use these numbers to bulldoze and